Okay, so before I give you all my review of The Boys Season 3, the first thing I will say is this is without a doubt a spoiler review. Therefore, if you haven't seen the show, if you haven't seen The Boys Season 3, pause this video, leave right now, watch the show, and then come back and listen to this review. So, before I give you all my thoughts on The Boys Season 3, I will begin by saying that I really love The Boys. I think this show is really freaking great. The Boys is all about deconstructing the superhero genre and its archetypes. Therefore, traditionally, the superhero genre has always been about heroes being good and villains being evil. That said, this is not the case in The Boys. With The Boys, you have a world where there is no real difference in between heroes and villains. Everyone, whether you're a hero, a villain, a soup, a human, whatever you are, everyone operates in this weird gray area. So yeah, I love The Boys and I love this sort of shows, and honestly, it reminds me a lot of shows such as Game of Thrones. Just like The Boys is all about grabbing the superhero genre and grounding it in reality, Game of Thrones is all about grabbing the fantasy genre and grounding it in reality. Which brings me back to my point, I love The Boys. I think Season 1 of The Boys is not only one of the best superhero shows ever made, but I think it's one of the best seasons of television ever made. I was a bit disappointed in Season 2 of The Boys. I felt like there were many missed opportunities in this season. That said, I still thoroughly enjoyed it. But now, Season 3 came out, and I really freaking loved Season 3. I don't think I love it as much as Season 1, but I think it's a lot better than Season 2. Okay, I will now move on to discussing some of the different elements of The Boys Season 3, and the first element that I will discuss will be the story and the themes. And when it comes to the story and the themes of The Boys Season 3, I thought they were both great. I really love the way in which this season explores power, the idea, the concept of power. I love the way in which this show and this season in particular asks big questions such as, who deserves power, who has it, who controls it, and is it fair or not? And does it even matter? I also love the way in which this season explored the idea of, how to bring justice against those who are above the law. And also how to equal the playing field without losing yourself and becoming someone you hate. I felt like all of those ideas are great and were developed in a very satisfying way throughout this entire season of The Boys. Now, the next element that I will discuss when it comes to talking about The Boys Season 3 will be the characters. And I will start off by talking about The Boys, and then I will talk about all the different superheroes. So, when it comes to The Boys, the first character I have to mention is, of course, Butcher. And I love Butcher. I love this character. And the main reason why I love him so much is, without a doubt, Karl Urban. I think Karl Urban absolutely kills it as this character. I also really like the new direction in which they took this character. I thought the idea of giving Butcher powers and, turning him into the thing that he hates the most, I thought that was really clever and really cool. I also love the powers they gave Butcher in Season 3 of The Boys. These are not the powers that Butcher had in the comics when he became a superhero in the comics. That said, I really like the change and I really like the new abilities that they gave him, I love the fact that Butcher's powers in Season 3 of The Boys are the exact same powers, well, sort of, to Homelander's powers. That is really cool, that is really poetic, and yeah, it creates this great parallel in between both of these characters. The next thing I will mention when it comes to the things that I liked about Butcher are his flashbacks. I really liked his flashbacks, and I really liked the way Season 3 explored his backstory and, all of his history. I thought that was really cool and really inspired. And I really liked his relationship with Huey. I particularly loved how Season 3 of The Boys explored this idea of how Butcher sees his younger brother in Huey. I don't know, that was very sweet and that was something that I very much enjoyed. Now, if there is one complaint, if there is one thing that I need to point out in regards to Butcher's character that I wish would have been better, is the fact that I believe they needed more time to fully develop the idea of Butcher becoming what he swore to destroy. Like, they do it in a very superficial way, and they do it just enough, but I wish this season would have gone deeper, and I wish they would have really shown us, Butcher coming to the realization that he has become a superhero, that he has become one of those assholes that he swore to destroy. I thought that would have been really cool, but, once again, as it is, it's fine. I just wish they would have delved deeper. Now, the next character I will be discussing will be Huey. And when it comes to Huey, once again, I liked the new direction they took this character in. I really liked his powers. For some reason, teleportation just fits perfectly with Huey's personality, and I really liked what they did. And I also really like the fact that Huey finally got closure to what happened with his ex. He finally got A-Train to apologize to him and, to tell him he was sorry for what happened with his ex-girlfriend. I thought that was really, really cool. And once again, my complaints about Huey are pretty much the same complaint about Butcher, that I wish they would have spent a bit more time really delving into Huey turning into a superhero and into the fact that he has become, the thing that he used to hate. But yeah, that's that in regards to Huey. Now, the next character I'll be discussing will be Mother's Milk, and I love this character, and I really, really loved his storyline in this season. I was a big fan of, all of the developments in regards to his beef with Soldier Boy and all of his flashbacks with Soldier Boy, and, the way Soldier Boy just, his family up all those years in the past. I also really liked all the stuff about Mother's Milk's tension with his ex-new partner. I thought that was really cool and really well made. And I really love how badass he is and, how much of a badass Mother's Milk is. Because, yeah, he was ready to face off against Soldier Boy. He was ready to give up his life just to face off against this motherfucker who killed his, entire family. So, yeah, I really like Mother's Milk, and I thought this season gave him a great storyline. The next characters I will be discussing will be Frenchy and Kimiko. And when it comes to Frenchy and Kimiko, I really like the relationship. I think it's very nice and sweet. I really like all of the reveals about Frenchy's backstory. I thought that was very well made. I also loved the musical number. I was a bit hesitant about it when I saw it in the trailer, but I really liked it. It really, really worked. And I thought it was a great way to give us an insight into Kimiko's mind. I also really liked the kiss at the end of the season. And I liked Kimiko talking at the very end and just saying, a couple of words or a final word at the end of the season. I thought that was very sweet and very well made. And the last thing that I have to mention when it comes to Frenchy and Kimiko is that I love their action scenes. I think their action scenes are really freaking great, especially Kimiko. There's that great action scene where Kimiko is, fighting and murdering a bunch of people using some questionable weapons. But that was a lot of fun. That was a great scene. I will now move on to discussing the superheroes. And the first superhero that I will be discussing is Homelander. And I fucking adore Homelander. I think he's one of the greatest characters in television history. One of the greatest villains in television history. And that is partly due to Anthony Starr. Because goddamn, I think Anthony Starr deserves way more recognition than he's getting for The Boys. I honestly think this is one of the best performances we've ever seen in any TV show, period. Anthony Starr absolutely kills it as Homelander. Now, when it comes to the character in the show, story-wise, the first thing I will say is that I really love the way in which Homelander leveled up in this season. I love the fact that Homelander is now in charge of Vought. I love the fact that he got his son back on his side. And I also really like the fact that Homelander is now teaming up with Victoria Newman. Honestly, I don't know which of those two characters is more dangerous, Victoria Newman or Homelander. And the fact that they've now teamed up, the fact that they're now working together is just very frightening and very, very cool. I also loved the scene in which Homelander is having a conversation with himself, looking at the mirror. That was extremely well made and a very, very powerful scene. And the reason why I love that scene so much is because it grounds Homelander. It gives him dimensions, it gives him layers, When you're writing a character like Homelander, it would be very easy to make him a one-dimensional villain who's just an absolute irredeemable asshole. But it is scenes like this which ground the character and show you that there's also a vulnerable side to this absolute asshole. It is these moments which shows you that this character is not one-dimensional. There are layers to him. And that scene was so fucking tragic because they finally reveal that Homelander just wanted to be loved. He just wanted a family. Instead, what he got was Vought. So yeah, this is a scene that really opens our eyes and really shows us that yes, Homelander is an asshole, but Vought is partly responsible for turning this guy into the asshole that he is. And that was extremely well made. Now, the next character that I will be discussing will be Starlight, and I like Starlight. I like her a lot. That said, I really love the new direction in which they're taking this character. I love the fact that by the end of Season 3, she's not a member of the Seven anymore, and I also love the fact that she finally exposed Homelander. You know, she filmed him, she caught him, and, you know, she published it on her Instagram for millions and millions to see. I thought that was really, really well made. Now, going down the list, the next character would be A-Train. And A-Train was a character that really surprised me. You know, especially in Season 2, I didn't see much of a point or much of a necessity for A-Train. I felt like his character stagnated a bit. That said, I loved his story in Season 3, and I loved everything that they had him do throughout this season. I loved his conversation with his brother. I love his dilemma. I love how torn he is in between being a superhero and helping his community. But yeah, I particularly love all the conversations with his brother. I thought those were very powerful and very, you know, charged with thoughtful stuff. I particularly love the line where he's talking with his brother and he just says, "I'm Michael Jordan, I'm not Malcolm X." I thought that was very powerful, and, you know, it really packs a punch. So yeah, I love the inner dilemma that A-Train is going through of whether he is doing enough for his community or not. I was also a very big fan of A-Train's relationship with Blue Hawk, you know, and everything that they went through throughout Season 3. You know, I really like the stuff about Blue Hawk paralyzing A-Train's brother. I thought that was really powerful. And, you know, once again, you have the great episode Herogasm, where A-Train ends up killing Blue Hawk. And I thought that was really cool, really powerful, and, you know, some great payoff for a storyline that was set up very early on in this season. And then after that, after killing Blue Hawk, the fact that A-Train ended up getting Blue Hawk's heart, that was just the perfect ending to this storyline. So yeah, I really liked A-Train's storyline in Season 3, and I really liked his character growth. You know, I loved the moment towards the end of the season where A-Train finally realizes his hypocrisy, you know, when he realizes that he also killed innocents, and he also acted in a very irresponsible way. And it caused other people to die. But now that the people who are dying are people close to him, now it suddenly matters. And I love those moments where A-Train realizes just how fucked up he used to be. And when he's trying his best to fix it, but he honestly can't. Now, the next character I'll be discussing will be the Deep. And when it comes to the Deep, I will just say it, I used to hate this character. He was so despicable, so irredeemable in Season 1. But now I am very surprised with the way in which this show has managed to grab this character who used to be so irredeemable and now just turn him into a character that I just feel bad for him. I just feel bad and sad for him. Like, I don't hate him anymore. I just feel pity for what the Deep has become. I thought the scene where he was forced to eat Timothy was very powerful, and yeah, it really left an impact on me. And I also liked all the stuff about his relationship with the octopus. I thought that was very weird. Very, very weird, but really fucking cool. I liked it a lot. Now, the next character I'll be discussing will be Maeve. And when it comes to Maeve, I liked this character a lot throughout the season. I liked her interactions with Butcher. That being said, you know, the things that I didn't like as much was the conclusion to her character. You know, I like the fact that she's not a superhero anymore and she's finally free to, you know, live her life and be happy, you know, outside of the public scrutiny. That said, I don't really get how she survived her final confrontation against Soldier Boy. You know, earlier in the season, we saw Soldier Boy just frying Crimson Countess to a crisp using one of his blasts. But now here, at the end of the season, Maeve is perfectly fine after a Soldier Boy explosion. I don't know. That felt a bit cheap, but, you know, fair enough. I'll take it just because I like Maeve, and I'm excited to see what they do with this character. Okay, so the next character I'll be talking about will be Black Noir, and when it comes to Black Noir, I really loved what this season did for the character of Black Noir. I loved the way in which they explored his backstory, you know, all the stuff in the past about how he sold out Soldier Boy. I thought that was really well made. But the thing that I loved the most about Black Noir, by far, was the insight this season gave us into his mind. And, you know, all of the animated animals and, all of those visions that Black Noir kept having throughout the season of all of these weird cartoonish animals from his childhood just talking to him, I thought that was great. That was a great decision. That was very original and very, very cool. Now, the things that I didn't like as much about Black Noir in this season was honestly his death at the end of season 3. I honestly feel like Homelander killing him out of nowhere in the final episode just robbed him of a final fight against Soldier Boy. I felt like season 3 was doing a great job of setting up this conflict in between Soldier Boy and Black Noir. Like Soldier Boy has realized that Black Noir was the one who sold him out. And then Black Noir keeps having all of these flashbacks of Soldier Boy, beating him up and burning his face. And I was very excited. I was very excited to see these two titans just clash once again and, fight regardless of who wins or who dies. I was just very excited to see this fight. But it never happened. Homelander just killed him. And, it was fine. It was surprising, but I think it could have been better. Now, the last character I will be talking about will be Soldier Boy. And when it comes to Soldier Boy, I really liked this character. I thought he was great. I love the way in which this character represents, the ugly side of American society in the 1940s, the 1950s, and the 1960s. I think it is really cool, especially in comparison to Homelander, who represents the ugly side of American society right now, in the 21st century. I also really liked all the stuff with Payback, and all the backstory of Soldier Boy and Payback and everything that they went through. And I also really liked the conversations in between Soldier Boy and Butcher and Huey. I thought those were very well made and, they were very fucking funny. I also really like his new ability. I think the fact that Soldier Boy can now take, superhero abilities away from people is a really cool thing. And, it makes this character an absolute ticking time bomb. Because, at the end of the season, he's still alive. And now I'm just curious to see when they bring Soldier Boy back and who he's going to depower next. He already depowered Maeve. I thought they were setting up that he was going to depower Homelander. He ended up not doing that. He depowered Maeve. But he's still alive. So he might as well come back in the near future and, depower someone else. And I think that's going to be really cool. Okay, so the last thing that I will discuss when it comes to The Boys Season 3 will be the ending. And when it comes to the ending, I was very excited. I was very excited to see how this season wrapped up because I honestly felt like the show had done a great job at setting up the ending for this season. Episode 6, Herogasm, set up two very interesting things. It set up a potential fight in between Soldier Boy and Homelander, which, yes, they did fight in episode 6, but that fight felt like a tease. It felt like a tease for greater things to come. And the other thing that episode 6 set up is the fact that Homelander could lose his powers, and Soldier Boy could strip the powers away from Homelander. Both of those things were set up in episode 6 perfectly, and I was very excited to see where they would come and how they would factor back by the ending of the season. At the end of episode 7, there is an amazing reveal, where they tell us that Soldier Boy is actually Homelander's father. And, that was a huge surprise. That was a huge shock. So after the ending of episode 7, I thought this season was going to end in one of two ways. One, Homelander and Soldier Boy would fight, and Homelander would lose his powers. He would be depowered by Soldier Boy. Or two, they would end up teaming up as father and son, and no one would be able to stop them. That's how I thought this season was going to end. That's what I thought they were setting up with, episode 6 and episode 7. That said, when the final episode dropped, we ended up not getting either of these options. Instead we had a fight in between Soldier Boy and Butcher, and we also had another fight in between Homelander and Maeve, which were fine. They were good. They were enjoyable, but, they were not the big fights that were set up throughout the season. All the big fights that were set up throughout the season, Black Noir versus Soldier Boy versus Homelander, and Soldier Boy and Homelander potentially teaming up, none of those things actually happened in the last season, which was a bit disappointing if I'm being honest. That said, it's fine because all the pieces are still on the board. Homelander is still in power. Soldier Boy is still alive, and he's trapped now by a different government, but he's still alive. Therefore, it is fine. I have faith that they will bring Soldier Boy back in the near future, and Soldier Boy and Homelander are finally gonna have their final fight. They're finally gonna have a confrontation in the future where, who knows, potentially Homelander will lose his powers then. I don't know. That said, even though I have some problems and I was a bit disappointed by the final fights and the final confrontations of the season, I really loved the very ending of the final episode, and I loved the way they wrapped it all up. I love the stuff about Newman becoming the new vice president candidate. I thought that was really powerful, really cool, and I can't wait to see where that goes in future seasons. And I also love the fact that Ryan has chosen Homelander. Ryan has sided with Homelander, and now he's on his way to turning evil. That is very exciting, and it is really, really cool. I can't wait to see what happens with that. Okay, now before I conclude my thoughts on The Boys Season 3, I will end by sharing with you some of my theories of what I think will happen in future seasons of The Boys. And, I have many theories, but the two main theories that I want to share with you guys right now is, first of all, I think Butcher and Huey, or maybe just Butcher, but I think Butcher definitely will need to get himself real Compound V in order to be able to survive. By the end of Season 3, it is revealed that he only has like a couple of months more because of how much Temp V he has injected. Therefore, I think that the only way for him to survive is going to be to inject real Compound V, and I think Butcher is going to end up turning like a full-time superhero. And now the second theory that I would like to put out there is I think Homelander's mother is actually Stormfront. They revealed that Homelander's father is Soldier Boy. He was the sperm donor. That said, the question now is, who was the egg donor? And we know that Stormfront has existed like since the time of the Nazis. So yeah, I think there is a pretty big chance that Stormfront is gonna end up being Homelander's mother, and I think that's gonna be very fucked up when they do so, because of course we know what happened in between Homelander and Stormfront in Season 2. So yeah, I really love The Boys Season 3. It wasn't a home run. It wasn't as perfect as I wished it would be. That said, it was still really freaking great. If I were to give it a score from 1 to 10, I would give it an 8 out of 10, which means I think it was great.